A colleague once said to me, "You can tell a menopausal woman in the office by the way she gets out of a chair." She was menopausal herself, by the way. She wasn't being cruel. She was talking about the ache in the joints, the stiffness, that little pause before you stand, the way your body sometimes needs a moment to catch up with the instruction your brain has already given it. And I remember thinking, I know exactly what you mean, because I sometimes feel that way too. And since she said it, I've been conscious of it. When I get out of a chair at work, I try not to look stiff. I try not to pause too long. I try to rise as if my body still moves exactly the way it did 10 years ago, which is ridiculous, really, because clearly I am older. I'm not pretending to be young. I'm not pretending to be at the beginning of my work life. I have decades of experience behind me, and I'm proud of that. But what I don't want is to signal my age through all those tiny physical cues that people may or may not notice. The careful stand, the moment of hesitation before moving after sitting for too long. Because in the office, those small things can start to feel like evidence. Evidence of aging, evidence of being past your peak, evidence that perhaps you are not as energetic, adaptable, or sharp as you once were. And that is the complicated part of being a menopausal woman at work. You're not just managing symptoms, you are managing perception. For me, hormone replacement therapy has helped. I am fortunate I no longer have the hot and cold sweats that once made me feel as if my body had completely taken over a meeting. My moods are even now. I don't feel as if I'm being hijacked by my hormones in the way I may have at earlier stages, and I'm grateful for that. But one thing that has continued to challenge me is sleep, or more specifically, the lack of it. For me, it is not always trouble falling asleep, it is waking up in the early hours of the morning and not being able to get back to sleep. Like this morning, for example, I was awake at 3 a.m. and didn't sleep again until the alarm went off. I lay there thinking about work, I thought about money. I still had to get up, show up, perform, concentrate, listen, respond, make decisions, attend meetings, solve problems, and appear competent, which I am, but I am also tired, really tired. And once again, I mask it. I put on the work version of myself, I engage, I smile, I contribute. I try to make sure the tiredness does not show too much on my face or in my voice, because if I look tired, I worry it will not simply be read as tiredness. It might be read as age. It might be read as disengagement. It might be read as a lack of energy. It might be read as someone who is no longer quite up to the pace. And that is not the truth. The truth is I am still capable. I'm still interested and still want to contribute, but I'm doing it in a body that has changed. And I don't think we talk about that enough. We talk about leadership, we talk about resilience, we talk about productivity, we talk about bringing your whole self to work, which is one of those phrases that sounds lovely until your whole self includes insomnia, aching joints, fluctuating energy, and the quiet fear that your body might betray your professional image. Menopause in the office is not always dramatic. It is not always a hot flush in the middle of a presentation. Sometimes it's getting out of a chair carefully. Sometimes it's sitting in a meeting after a terrible night's sleep. Sometimes it's smiling while your whole body is asking for rest. Sometimes it's wondering whether anyone can tell, and perhaps that is why I wanted to talk about it, not to complain, not to ask for special treatment, but to say that some of us are carrying more than people realise. And we're still here, still working, still thinking, still contributing, still ambitious. But we are also navigating a stage of life that can be physically and mentally demanding while trying very hard not to let it become the thing people notice most about us. So if you are a woman going through this quietly at work, I see you. And if you are not, but you work alongside women in this stage of life, perhaps just remember this. What looks like tiredness may be a sleepless night. What looks like stiffness may be aching joints. What looks like a quieter version of someone may simply be a woman conserving the energy she has left for the work that matters. There is so much more to say about being an older woman in the workplace. The masking, the ambition, the visibility, The fear of being misread, the strange balancing act of wanting to be honest but not wanting to be diminished. So I will keep talking about it because I suspect I am not the only one awkwardly getting out of the chair and hoping no one notices.